Thank you, David. All right, so I was given the task today of explaining a topic that is prevalent in almost all media right now. Everyone's talking about it. It's social media and social marketing. It has become a buzzword that everyone is using, and very few people really understand what it is. So in really doing social media 101, I decided to turn the clock back 101 years ago. Everything you've been taught about social marketing, social media, has been taught to you largely by early adopters. People that are already using the internet every day, who are paving the way and not afraid to touch new technology. In the very same way, this is what Ford was doing at that time. Ford was pulling out one of these vehicles every 3 minutes. There was a vehicle leaving that facility, as you saw in the beginning of that video. So again, the speed of industry changed, and that's what we're in right now. As you all know, the information age is taking on a new phase, and it's a phase called the social web. Now, the social web is something that is much different than what we've been accustomed to in the past. The web is becoming much more participatory. More people are going onto websites, and they're given the opportunity to share comments, to give feedback on what it is that they're looking at, to share their expertise, to write about it, to blog. We're given a voice. And in a way, looking back at the Ford model, Ford itself is in a very difficult time right now. If you look at the U.S. auto industry, it is an industry that right now is facing a lot of different changes. They're actually going back to a model that resembled the time of the Model T. It was actually quite fuel efficient. It's so fuel efficient that compared to even today's standards, it was competitive with many of the cars out there today. We're talking over 100 years ago, which leads us to believe that it is time to innovate. How can we use some of these principles that were grounded during this time, innovate, and use this new assembly line, so to speak, social web, to get our message across and start to converse with our customers. Another important point with this is also the time it takes to do these things. Now we're building on new technologies that we're learning from each other. Developers are actually working with existing systems. So what is Ford doing? How is Ford reinventing itself? Well, right here is a picture of Henry Ford next to the famous Model T. This is the new face of Ford. And the new face of Ford is right here. It's an agent by the name of Beto Lopez. He is a part of a new age of ingenuity at Ford, and they're changing their whole brand and their whole look and feel, and going from a company that was once pushing SUVs, gas-guzzling SUVs, to small cars that are fuel efficient and competitive with what's on the road today. It's really the changing of a new face of that company. And what does Beto have to do with this? This car is coming out next year. It's called the Ford Fiesta. And the Ford Fiesta is part of the Fiesta Movement, where 100 people in the United States were given this car for about 6 months. And in those 6 months, they have to produce 6 videos. And 6 videos that are missions that is set from Ford Control. Ford said, instead of us telling you what's good about Ford, we're going to give cars to people who can tell the story just as good, if not more personal. And that's what they strive for. They want to be personal in how you look at Ford, how you look at the Ford Fiesta, and how Ford is changing their approach to social marketing. Just a year before, in 2008, again on the 100-year anniversary of the Model T, Ford posted its first loss. It was actually quite a big step for Ford, that they had to relook and say that even us going on a strong brand, we need to find a way to reinvent ourselves and come back into profitability. And now in 2009, this is one of their steps towards that. And the content that's coming out of this campaign is quite remarkable. Beto Lopez, someone that I work with very closely, he's actually a strong believer of using video in everything he does. He's actually fixed cameras all around his vehicle, and in those cameras he's streaming live 24/7. Right now he brought the cameras in here, so we're all live on the internet right now. So you could say hello to the world, because we're actually streaming live. Another important point here for Ford. A question was raised as far as, if you have multiple blogs, do I create a Twitter account for each blog? Do I create multiple pages for each blog? Well, Ford and also companies like the New York Times actually do create multiple properties for different sections, whether it's the different newspaper or different specialties of Ford vehicles. For instance, maybe you just want to speak of the green hybrids that are out there. Ford has a page just for that. And they're very clear about saying that this is not just a page run by Ford, it's also run by a specific user. So here on Twitter, which we'll get into what Twitter is, but just know that this gentleman right here, Scott Monty, who is a prolific blogger, someone who's well respected in the blogging community, is actually director of social media at Ford. And he was a large part and reason why Ford is doing this Ford Fiesta movement. And if you like more on Scott Monty and you're actually curious to see other trends going on in social media, I highly recommend you read his blog. It's a phenomenal blog, and not just talking about Ford. He speaks about all different aspects of social marketing, where it's going, where it's been, and it's actually quite great content. So also, if you look here, you see his profile. His personal brand, something that we're going to go into a little later, is actually now closely affixed with Ford. He's being very clear. I work for Ford. He's putting it out there. He's not hiding it in any way. He's saying that I'm in charge of doing social media for Ford. And one of the campaigns that he's working on and that other people at Ford are promoting heavily is this Ford Fiesta campaign. And I'll just take a look on the bottom there. These are some of the different content areas that an agent such as Beto Lopez, who we're going to invite on stage right now to have a quick conversation, and we're going to ask him, how does he use some of these tools? How as just one individual are you communicating the joy of owning a car for 6 months on Ford's dime? They're paying for his gas, they're paying for his insurance, and they are giving him a car that doesn't even come out till next year. How is this getting him excited, and what is he doing with that opportunity? Beto, are you in the audience? So you want to, okay, there you are. Everyone, give a round of applause. This is Beto Lopez. Another thing that Beto did in producing that content, so he said that there was an opportunity, there was a contest, right? And that was Ford's real push. You know, how do you get people to participate? And participation is a big thing. Hosting a contest is one great thing that everyone in this room, whether you know someone through your relationships or directly have products that you can pass on, it's a great way to spur some great content around your things. Yes. That's right, and YouTube, which, yeah, you talk about
the contest. The way Ford has set up is post a video of why you think you should be chosen as a Ford agent by submitting your video using YouTube. So, like, 4,000 people submitted on YouTube. That's what I did. I took some content from my live video, mixed it in because I'm able to archive, go back, watch my entire day, save it, whatever clips that I want to use, and I add it into to YouTube. So this is what I do. That's what I should.
And also touching back on the thing we said earlier, where really reinventing the wheel is not necessary anymore, because even in the past, I've actually coded from scratch doing streaming video, trying to build relationships with partners that only work with big media and saying, I have a small business, they want to stream video, what can we do? And many times it boiled down to having to turn the Flash player into things that it was not meant to do at the time, and actually building it from scratch. Now, these great providers such as Justin.tv, Ustream, there's several other, even YouTube itself has also been dabbling a little bit in real-time video. And I want you to get your minds around the use of real-time, because that's what this gentleman is doing. He's saying that I'm a filmmaker who doesn't mind using video. It's the medium of choice. That's another thing, is really looking at your customer base, looking at your users, people in your network, and saying to yourself, what are they comfortable using, and giving them that palette of tools. And that's essentially, going back to our beginning slide, this palette these are some of the tools that a lot of people are using and they're comfortable using. So Beto, tell us a little bit about some of the tools that you used here. Let's go over here. So how are you using Twitter right now with the movement?
Well, actually, Andres is the one who told me about Twitter a year ago, and I wasn't. Why would I want a Twitter? Just like anybody else, like, why would I want a Twitter and tell my business, you know? Because I looked at it and I seen some people saying, "Oh, I'm taking a shower." It's like, okay. So I wasn't really sure what it'd be good for until I started finally following people. I didn't know that. Oh, you gotta follow people. And I started finding. I was following actually Andres, and I see he's always posting good stuff, you know, stuff like about events like this. And I was like, okay, it's good to let people know what you do. I said, okay, I'm a filmmaker, documentary filmmaker, and I got a film, and I want people to know about it. And you know, and they're always asking. I was like, okay, here, I'll get on Twitter. So with the Ford, now I can let people know when I'm live, because a lot of people are like, oh, when are you gonna go out on an adventure? You know, why are you sitting around? And I was like, well, I do a lot of things. I have archives that shows everything I do, but by Twittering, we'll let them know when I'm actually out, you know, filming, dancing, because I also do great dance stuff. So by sending out Twitters, that will bring people to my channel. More viewers will come, and yeah, it helps. But I learned also to not get carried away. Once in a while, you get a little, you start getting Twitter about everything you do. You're like, whoa, we're gonna take a break. You know?
That's right. Yes, it is the Twitter bug. It hits a lot of us, and you can actually find yourself stuck in that medium for quite some time. And that's why I picked the topic for the workshop: 15 minutes on Twitter and Facebook.